walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Take my hat off.
I'm from South Carolina, so I just...
Doni.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Doni.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's a
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. Entered to win it for the long haul. Baby! It's a beautiful weekend. Let's start this week off with prayer as always. Blessed Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for allowing us to see your sunshine, your sunrise just one more time. Thank you for allowing us to be in the land of the living. And may we, oh God, be a blessing to somebody. May we help somebody. May we help lighten the load for somebody. May we feed somebody. And we promise, Lord, to give you all the praise and all the glory. Bless this show. Bless these airwaves. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, STEMCityUSA.com. Thank you for these platforms that we may inform and inspire. In your mighty, matchless, and majestic name, we say hallelujah and amen. We're going to get straight to today's guest, Mr. Dwayne Brown. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, sir. How you doing? Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay. You have a film coming out.
Yes, sir. This afternoon. Come on out to the Charles Theater, 3 o'clock. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate having an opportunity to come on your show to talk about it. This inspiring film that my actors did an amazing job. Charles Theater, 3 o'clock, and check it out. And we'll have some discussions as well.
What's the name of the film?
The name of the film is Untold Secrets. Excuse me. The name of the film is Untold Secrets, The Flip Side. I wrote it myself and directed it, but I had an amazing cast and amazing crew to help me get this vision across to the screen. So it's not all about me. It's about being able to have this vision to put on screen and to share with the community as well.
Okay. What's it about?
My film is about mental health and cancer awareness. And I wrote this film based on the fact that cancer awareness. I lost all my grandparents to this horrific disease that took me over all my years of life. And I've also, matter of fact, just lost some aunts and uncles to it as well. So I contribute this film to them as well. And then the mental health part was a character that I put together. And as I was writing it, it just came to fruition. Boom, boom, one thing led to another. I'm not a therapist. I'm not an expert. It just was a character. And as I took this character on, people saying, hey, you're on to something. And that's what I did. Expand this character, dealing with this illness that is mental health. And these characters, they kind of clash and from a down, and then it's like I said, it's a flip side to the story.
So tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I am from the DMV, or we want to say Prince George's County area. Um, I went to undergrad at Cheney University, majored in communications. Then I went on and I was blessed to be able to go to NYU Film School, where I was able to perfect my craft, and been doing this work ever since. Been blessed to be able to do it. Just trying to stay continuous, continue, and those type of things.
Is this your first film?
No, I've done other films. I worked in Hollywood for a while, and worked in a couple of Hollywood films, did a couple of music videos. But I was able to have to come back home. My parents were getting up in age, and had to help them out. And unfortunately, I just lost my mom about 2 years ago. And I was doing all this writing and stuff as I was going through with my mom and her transition and that type of thing. So no, this is not my first film. I've done a couple of other shorts. I created a production company called We Got Our 40 Acres, which I named that after my grandparents as well. So I've been doing this game for about 25, 30 years. Yes. So yes, I've been, and I have two other films related to this topic right after I'm doing this one. So this is like a trilogy. This trilogy is like it has the same name. First part, Untold Secrets, but then it's going to have another part, Untold Secrets Shona, which is going to be about a young lady dealing with schizophrenia and postpartum depression. And the third one is called Untold Secrets Dysfunctia, which is dealing with a family in the 70s, dealing with a mom who has dementia. But I have some other entertainment type films, like some sports film I've really been trying to get off the ground, trying to shop as well. So I've been trying to stay busy on both ends, writing, push this one, and also trying to develop the other one, as the sports one as well.
So your actors and actresses, do they come from Prince George's County?
Yes, they do. They come in and around DMV per se. Some live in DC. This Denacia's Sally, she's done a lot of short films. Fahim Salam, he's done a lot of amazing stage plays and short films as well. They do an amazing job in this film to bring these topics out and bring these characters out. And I was very pleased. From even when we started shooting, they did an amazing job. Yes, sir.
Who paid for your film?
Believe it or not, man, I did it on my back. I got some assistance to do some foundations that I applied for, a couple of grants, but majority of it, it took me 2.5, 3 years to do this film. And I did majority of it on my back. That's why it took so long. I mean, I was working 2 or 3 jobs while my mom was sick, and just trying to save my money, my coins, and put it to the side so I can pay my crew and my actors. So a majority of that was on my back. But I did get some help from the Maryland State Arts and Foundation, so I'm not here to shout out to them, and the Prince George's County Arts and Humanities Council as well. Then they gave me some opportunities as well. But a lot of it was on my back, and and as you know now in Hollywood, there's a lot of that's the way it's going. Ava DuVernay said she has to go out into foundations and try to get her last film done. So I don't know how Hollywood is turning, and maybe shout out to some of these foundations. Hopefully, they're able to help independent films like myself and others.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
It's a tough business.
Yes, sir. It is. You have to persevere.
Ain't too many people giving away stuff.
No, that's true. That's true. But
if anything, we have a lot of exploitation that takes place. We didn't heard about them cats that gotta lay on the sofa.
Yeah. Well, the thing about me,
especially when it comes to Black celebrity, I mean, some of the horror stories in film and music, it makes a person wonder, is it worth it?
Well, I
You
will
know,
say this.
people want to hang out with celebrities and go to these big time parties only to wake up the next morning and they've lost their
All they
integrity.
right. Well, I will say this. I thank God. I try to stay in prayer that He gives me these, this vision to keep going and gives me strength and to keep doing it and try to do it the right way. Just like this film. Not only am I did this film, I'm taking a different community, so we can have this topic about mental health and cancer awareness. Um, Films that will be able to educate people about these topics that we deal in our community every day, and hopefully I can be able to maintain. So that's the road that I try to travel. I know there are people that doing it other ways with the shoot 'em up bang bangs. I'm not knocking them and those type of things, but I'm just trying to do it the way that I know best.
Tell me about the mental health piece.
The mental health piece, what I did when I wrote this character, I took my time and I studied uh, people considered homeless, but now there's a new term of unhoused. I think it's a new word is out there. I studied them, and the thing about it, I want people to really understand, Mr. Glover, is that just because you see a person that's homeless or dealing with mental, that does not mean that they're broke or poor. And what I mean by that is these people, some of them are ex doctors, ex lawyers, ex accountings, okay, but they just dealing with some things mentally that they have not even addressed or they don't want to address. So you have this person that may be coming up to your car asking, can I get $1 for some change or whatever. Just don't look down on them. They just not perhaps just bums on the street. They're just dealing with some issues that you might not be aware of. Like I show in this character, this person he was perfectly fine. He was doing very well in society, was doing well. But the thing about it is he did not want to continue taking his meds. And what you have to understand, there's people in society that you probably work with or pass every day. They're okay as long as they take their meds.
Some of them shoot dope and you would never know.
Right. Exactly. So they're fine. They're perfectly
Or
fine.
some may be alcoholics and you might never know.
Exactly. So once they get off, once they stop taking that med, that's when their world is out of control.
Yes, Lord.
So yeah, so it's a myth. Don't think that nobody's not one step from it or anything like that. But
We all one step from something.
yes, sir. Yes,
Whether
sir.
it's church, the mosque, a psychiatric hospital,
Yes. Yes.
the
So,
ER,
yes, sir. Yes.
the courtroom. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
I get it. I
So
get
that's
it.
why I want to bring this awareness that no one that's sitting in the audience or watching it is immune from this at all because it can definitely happen. So
Look
when
at
you don't,
Jeffrey Epstein.
yes, yes, yes.
He
So
was a billionaire with everybody's secrets, including Trump and Bill Clinton.
yes, yes. So we I want everybody to know.
Do you think Donald Trump has mental health issues?
You know what? I was watching him. He made a comment last night. It kind of like slipped through me. He made a comment last night. And I can't quote it what he said, but he said something very nasty about the Carters last night. That has to be
About
something.
the Carters?
Yeah, President Carter and his wife.
Jimmy Carter.
Yes, it has to be some type of chemical imbalance somewhere, or unless you're just willing to sell your soul to get power. And so to answer your question, I think something has to be. It's not right or not. There has to be some chemical imbalance.
When I saw him fussing with the little 13-year-old little girl who was a what do you call it? She was an environmentalist.
Okay.
I think she was from Sweden, maybe. I think her name was Greta. Little 13-year-old little girl. And you doing a back and forth on international television with a little girl. I mean,
Yeah.
Some,
Yeah.
some fights you can actually walk away from, and you don't look bad. You actually look good.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
But
so this cancer thing, and it touching all of your grandparents. I hear grief. Is this film your way of treating yourself?
it was a little bit. I lost all of them at a pivotal point in my life, especially my grandmother on my mom's side. She was we were very connected. She was very involved in the community here in Prince George's County. She's well known. And I was a senior in high school when I was at a point in my life. My dad and I wasn't had the best of relationship. She was a person I could lay my head on her shoulder, and I could talk to and relate. She could relate and understand. And I lost her to the point where she didn't even want to let me know she was sick. And at that time,
Why?
a lot of older folks don't want pity. A lot of older folks don't want pity. They just
I
don't.
thought you were going to say she was protecting you.
She was protecting me. She was
shielding you from the brunt of the pain.
And that's truly was probably what she was doing. Exactly. And that type of thing. But it was at a point in my life where I had to make some real critical decisions. I was a senior in high school. I had to make a choice. You know how back in the day, your parents or your dad tell you got three choices: either the army, college, or work. And work to get out.
They told me at 18. Moms told me at 18 you're leaving.
Yeah.
I got that message for at least 3 or 4 years. You're leaving at 18. Bye bye. Get your SHIT together, but you're leaving here.
Right.
Especially if you talk as much smack as I talk. College, military work, and in the meantime, don't bring no kids across that door.
Exactly. So
they made that clear.
Yes.
And if you say that today, people will say you're harsh.
Yeah. Or you're abusive. You're being abusive.
Ask my children, you will be homeless messing with me. There are rules to this game. There are rules.
There are rules to this game, and I agree with
you. And if you never kick that bird out the nest, that bird will never fly. You have a 40-year-old sleeping in your basement.
Well, not only that, it's the eagle. I call it the eagle effect. You know how eagles are raised? Eagles are raised like that. They keep you warm while you're in the egg. Then they hatch. They teach you how to eat. They teach you how to fly. And all of a sudden, they put you on the edge and they just push you out. That's the eagle. You ever study the eagles, how they raise their kids or their birds? That's how they do. So
we didn't got soft, man. Have you watched this war in the Middle East?
I've been kind of like keeping up abreast of it.
These Palestinians are fighting tanks with rocks. See, a lot of times we in this country, black people, we think we're the only ones who've been through something.
Correct.
Because our international lens is, very parochial.
Yes.
We don't watch a lot of BBC. If it ain't CNN or Fox, that's all we know. And the unfortunate thing about American news is geographically isolated. All we know is what's happening from California to the East Coast, from Texas up to Canada, and that's it. But over there in the Middle East, these countries side by side: Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, United Arab Emirates, Djibouti. All of these, things that we hear fleetingly, but these people know each other. They interact with each other.
Right.
Here, our world is very simplistic, very basic. We don't understand the machinations that are taking place. Several different types of Muslims, for example, Shia, Sunni. It's so much more going on in the world, and because our lens is so narrow, we miss the bigger picture.
Yes.
We even miss our role as African Americans. We miss our role to the global community.
Yes. Yes.
Our entertainment, for instance, has touched the world.
Well, yeah.
But so too have our inventions. I mean, African Americans have come up with some of the greatest inventions ever, including the refrigerated truck.
Yes. And you know, and our history, unfortunately, is overlooked. A lot of
It's
things.
hidden. It's
It's
hidden.
hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So
minimalized.
right. So what I try to do is within my films and my filmmaking is try to have so we can have these conversations, talk about these things, and educate people in the process. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do, but do it in an entertainment type of way in the filmmaking. And I always have to preface myself: I'm not an expert in mental health or anything like that. I'm just bringing the topic to the surface that we can have this conversation and those type of things. And it's something that's really taken off. And a lot of people come to me, call me, and say, man, you right on time. We appreciate having this conversation." When we did the premiere here in Prince George's County in the Bowie Center for Performing Arts, I reached out to NAMI, which is the National Association of Alliance of Mental Health. They had a table out to give out information. And also, I had reached out to a nonprofit cancer survivor organization, had a table to give out information. So I just wanted to be able to get this information, folks can put in their pocketbooks, and take it home so they can be able to spread it to other folks, and then they can have these important conversations.
Dwayne, any solutions as it relates to cancer? For forever and a day, we've seen nonprofits collect money, donations, what have you, to study cancer. But have you come up with any solutions, suggestions to help people avoid cancer?
Well, unfortunately, my mother-in-law last week was diagnosed with it, and I think there's two important things or several important things. First off, go to the doctor, get your checkups. That's number one. That's the first thing. Know yourself, get those checkups. And the second thing is early prevention. And once they told her she's going to have surgery, hopefully they found it early enough to prevent it from spreading and those type of things. And the other thing, the young lady, Salithia, young lady who had a nonprofit, mentioned, we need to sometimes have to watch our diet.
Sometimes?
I mean, not sometimes, but all the time. All the time, have to watch our diet. That has a contributing factor. The type of foods we intake. We need to do
See,
more.
truth be told, Dwayne, the food that we're eating today is not the kind of food that was around 100 years ago.
No.
They're shooting these chickens up, the cows up. They're shooting them up with steroids and all kinds of other things. We've got to get back to nature.
Okay. Yes.
Garlic, onions, vinegar, olive oil, ginger.
Yes.
We put a lot of crap in.
Yes. So
we don't exercise as much as we should or could.
Right. So those
smoking is no help.
Right. So those type of things, that is.
I can't imagine alcohol being on at the top of the list of things that are good for us.
Right. So those are things that I've seen. I'm not a doctor in that either, but I'm just bringing up the emotional side of it, of a person like myself that has to deal with it on both sides. And the unfortunate thing at the time when they did have it, they didn't have the chemotherapy like they do now. So this is before the time of chemotherapy.
And also, Dwayne, they're herbs. They're things, they're weeds. That are right on the ground.
Right.
We had an herbalist on our show before, and he was showing us greens, plants that are all around in the park.
Okay.
That we are too uppity to want to partake in.
Wow. Okay.
because we're used to getting our medicine in a bottle from a drugstore, not realizing that every ingredient in those medicines comes straight out of the ground. See, our ancestors used to know those things. They tried to teach us, but we became educated.
Well, we got urbanized.
We became educated.
Yeah, and urbanized.
We turned our backs on the old ways.
Correct. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm on my dad's side. He's from the Royal Farm of Southern Virginia, and when I used to go down when I was young, I used to go on the farm, and I had to pick I'm a product of have to get up in the morning and do tobacco. And,
Tobacco Road.
Yeah, tobacco roads, and believe it or not, I didn't know what the effects of it or where it went to until I was a teenager. But it was a source of living for our family. But I remember we used to have all the different gardens and we used to eat from. I remember my grandmother used to say, "I know you like potatoes. If you want some, go out there in the garden, pick them, and bring them back." And she would fix them for me. So that's the difference. Instead of
we got away from farming. We got away from farming and raising our own food.
Right.
Because we became urbanized.
Right.
We left the farms to go to Chicago, to DC, Baltimore, New York.
Yes. So
we call people from these areas country.
Yes. Yeah. So early detection, like I'm looking at one of your comments. Right. Early detection is very, very important to this solution of these situations. So, and that was the type of thing that we encourage when we have these discussions after the film and people ask me these questions.
Okay. Well, we got a couple of minutes left. You want to go ahead and plug your
yes, I do.
film one more time, and I'll give you a chance to.
Yes, I want everybody to come out. I want everybody to come out today, 3:00 at the Charles Theater in Baltimore, Maryland. 3:00. Untold Secrets, the flip side. I'm the director, Dwayne Brown. I'm inviting you all to come on out. Tickets are about $15. Come out, have a good time, have a good discussion, get to meet people, socialize, see Untold Secret, the flip side, at the Charles Theater today at 3:00.
We're proud of you, Dwayne Brown. And who referred you to the show?
The young lady, Miss Denise Douglas. She's a PR person for the state's attorney, Aisha Brayboy.
Yeah, we love Aisha Brayboy. Aisha Brayboy about to be your next county executive down there, if I'm not mistaken. Calvin Hawkins might not think so, but I think Aisha gonna spank that butt.
Well, this is a real.
Sure every Reed out there has a different opinion.
This is a real political arena down here. This is very political, so time will tell.
Wayne Curry was the boss, though. Wayne Curry set it straight.
Yeah, and I was able to at that time when my career was starting to hang out with some of those individuals. My mentor at the time was Senator Decatur Trotter. He introduced me to a lot of those politicians at the time. Wayne Curry was a county exec, and that's when my career was starting. I had a show to highlight a lot of those politicians at the time. That's how I got to know them. They know me. But they knew me as an artist, not as a politician.
All right, Dwayne Brown, we're about to transition to our second half of the show, but we thank you for joining us.
Having me on, man. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. All right.
You're welcome. Next up, we're going to talk with the one, the only, Dr. Tyrone Taborn. And for those that don't know, the BEYA, the Black Engineer of the Year Awards, is returning to Baltimore after several years of a hiatus. And we are fortunate. When you think of tourism here in the city of Baltimore, when you think of the annual disposable income of African Americans, not just in the Maryland, DC corridor, but nationally, $1.6 trillion. And then you think also of STEM, or some say STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, math. Baltimore is becoming a front runner when it comes to technology. You need a Dr. Taborn to close this digital divide. Too often, African Americans are on the periphery of development. And it's because of Dr. Taborn and others like him that we are now at the core. We've always been at the core, but so often our contributions have been overlooked, have been diminished. And that's why we must have media. And that's why I love Dr. Tyrone Taborn, because just like me, he loves media. Without further ado, we bring to you the founder of Career Communications Group, the one, the only, the husband of Gene Hamilton, Dr. Tyrone Taborn. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Donnie, and a happy Martin Luther King Day to you and to your listening audience. If for no other reason, an opportunity to reflect on really what his dream was, a large part of that dream. And that was for every child, man and woman, to be able to live up to their full potential. You know, I was listening to his speech and he said to cash the check that America has defaulted on.
Insufficient funds.
Insufficient funds. And it's our job to make sure that that check was cashed, because we know we have a rich country. We know we have a country that has the capacity to do all of that. So happy Martin Luther King Day to start with. And to you, my friend, you look absolutely wonderful, stunning.
You taught me well. There was a man when I went to Morehouse. He was from Baltimore. He was a Morehouse alumni named Frank Drumright Jr. And he made me memorize. You couldn't tell him you were a Morehouse man and not have this particular quote memorized. I must share it. And it's my contribution to MLK Day. He said, the richer we become materially, the poorer we become morally and spiritually. We have learned to fly the air like birds and swim the seas like fish. But we have not learned the simple art of living together as brothers and sisters. One of the messages that you have given me over the years, one of the mandates is, Donnie, you must forgive.
That's right.
You must forgive yourself. You must forgive others. And I wholeheartedly agree with you. It does more for us than it does for anyone else.
You know, one of the first things when you pray, you know, a prayer, many prayers are really only 3 parts. You know, there's other ways of doing it, but a prayer is only 3 parts. Well, not only 3 parts, but it's 3 parts, at least the way I pray. One is you always acknowledge how your Lord, Savior, whatever you believe or whoever you believe in, is great and powerful. And that first part really says is that you don't have. You humble yourself. When you say God is great and so powerful, what you're really doing is saying, I'm flawed. I can never get to that level, even though I will try. You humble yourself. The second part of the prayer is when you say, thank you for all you've done for me, or I haven't done this, I do it through you. What you're really saying is how grateful you are. The fact that you woke up with flaws and problems like everybody else, you're still grateful because you woke up. And if you can be grateful, you can bless other people. And then the final part of that prayer is asking for, you know, a lot of people may ask, God, make me healthy, do the other pieces. But what you're really doing in that last part of that prayer is asking to be better and to focus on things. So that is so important in that ask. You're asking to be more than what you are, which is part of what Bea is all about. Bea, to a lot of us, know is Black Engineer of the Year, but our official name is becoming everything you are. And that's that final part of the blessing when you ask, make me better. I'm humble. I'm grateful, but I can be better. Now, some people may ask for money. Some people may ask for better health. But what you're asking for is Bea. becoming everything you are. And that leads me to this wonderful opportunity to come back in our rotation from the city that we started, which will be 38 years ago, that we started with Morgan State University and my good friend, Dr. Eugene DeLoach, who started the School of Engineering at Morgan. So as I come back, it's given me an inflection moment to think about what's happened in 38 years in the area of STEM. You call it STEAM, but I will tell you this. You don't need to put an A in STEM, because art, intellectual thinking, intellectual curiosity is always in STEM. You don't need to add that, because we can keep adding letters and letters and letters. STEM includes all of that. It includes finance. It includes business. It includes singing. It includes dancing. It includes all of that stuff. It's already built in. It's not a separate, necessarily a separate part. So the STEM that we talk about are simply the 4 of the basic elements that makes up technology as we see it. So as I come back with this inflection moment after coming on 38 years, it occurred to me that the theme of the conference should be the 3 things that have made Baltimore grow in this area of these young entrepreneurs and other folks in these fields and folks around the world. There's 3 elements. There's people. If you don't have people, there cannot be a Baya or anything else. If you don't have the talent, if you don't develop the talent. So people is number 1. In Baltimore, certainly 38 plus years ago, when the School of Engineering at Morgan State started, which was the first HBCU accredited School of Engineering in the state of Maryland, when our kids couldn't go anyplace else, but they had to leave the state if they wanted to go into some of these technical areas. Baltimore always had bright kids, but they didn't have the second part of what Baya theme is this year. They didn't have the process. So you have the people, but you have to have a process. What are processes? You don't accidentally wake up being able to do this stuff. You need a political process, people who fought, legislators who fought at the state level to make sure that Morgan was able to teach have a school of engineering.
Without duplication by a traditionally white institution up the street, like Towson.
Yeah, and I won't talk about duplication. You know, I was a trustee at Morgan for years, and I have a lot to say about that, Donnie. That's a whole different show. But let me just finish with this process. That process are things like pre-college programs that are in place, working every year. Process things like the school system. And when those processes break down, or even when they succeed, but when they break down, you see the output of the people. And so if you have people, you have good processes, then we end up where we are now. Good technology. How does all of those things work together to get where we are? And so as I look at this inflection moment of where Baya is, as we return back to a city I love, Baltimore, I'm now seeing that many parts of that process did work. There's many challenges, no doubt, but I'm looking at young entrepreneurs. I'm looking at more people embracing technology. I'm looking at the opportunity of the infrastructure that can really turn our city into what I like to call, not the Silicon Valley of the East, but really the Motown of technology. How do we create a model that keeps duplicating itself, first of all, which is what we need, what we must have. We must have a duplication, being able to create more and more people in this field. And if we create enough, Donnie, you know, it's like a gum machine. You know, those big gum machines when you were a kid. You know, if the majority of the gum, little pieces of gum are white, when you put your nickel in, it's most likely going to come out white, right? So if you put into that gum machine more and more successful people, then most likely that outcome, which is what, assuming in this case, that outcome of the gum machine is transformational technology and business growth, then it's more likely that we're going to see more people in the community and from Baltimore, by the way, from Baltimore, the squeegee kid. I want to see the squeegee done. I want to see the squeegee kid to Bill Gates. That's what I want to see.
I got you, but something is lacking. We have, for instance, $23,000 per pupil.
Right.
That's what the public expenditure is per pupil in Baltimore City public schools. But we're producing what I think, and some others, is an inferior product. No Fortune 500 company wants to come to a city where people can't read.
Sir, I would say to you that you're absolutely right. And I think that those are the processes that a lot of us are working on. Those are the challenges. But I will also tell you this: the school system isn't just cheating us. It's cheating a whole bunch of majority people as well. And if you don't believe that, just look at how many people intellectually, how many people can still embrace what we're seeing in the presidential election.
Hello.
Okay, so if you don't think our educational, if you believe like I do that there are great opportunities in a city like Baltimore to use this educational infrastructure to do a much better job and to live up to that promise, right? Not to give to cash that check that Dr. Martin Luther King saw. If you think it's just happening to our kids, it's happening across the country in many areas. And what we really see,
that's why I don't get why
the truth of the matter is this, Donnie. And I want to get back to Bea and all these other good things. But the truth of the matter is that this is just not a race issue. This is really a class issue.
We're sending millions to Ukraine. We're sending millions to the Middle East. Why aren't we investing in home? You have a business. And one of the things I've learned adamantly from you, Donnie, if you get $1, you better put 50 cents of that buck right back into your business.
I would suggest a couple of things. Yes, we're underfunded, but also we lack vision and leadership in some of these institutions. You know, I mean, if you look at our community, if you look at a Morgan State, you look at a Morehouse, you look at their funding, all of the Black HBCUs combined don't have the same endowment that that a college like Harvard has, okay? But look what these colleges have done.
A lot with
they graduate now 38% or more of all of the doctors, scientists, engineers are HBCUs.
And so would you say that Bea is very helpful, very instrumental in touching these African Americans who are now successful in various fields, aerodynamics,
yes,
engineering, software development? Would you say that Bea has been instrumental in helping our best and brightest understand the give back?
Yes, I would absolutely would say that. I would say that Bea, people, process, and technology has been critical. Did you see that movie Field of Dreams?
Field of Dreams. I don't think I did.
It's that baseball movie where the guy built the field. With Morgan Freeman was in the movie as well, and he saw it in a cornfield. It was just a cornfield, and he built this stadium in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, he said he kept hearing a vision, seeing a vision, and hearing a voice that kept whispering to him, "Build it, and they will come." Well, that's what Dr. Deloach and I did back then. We said, let's build a community, and they will come. And we've built this community, this trusted community. The community did not exist, but we built this entire trusted community. And guess who came? The accredited HBCUs, the students in college, the pre-K kids, they came. Corporate America, government, other leadership, they all came. Professionals. In over 38 years, we've built this huge community that works with each other throughout the year. They're able to see things and then attempt to implement all of these pieces. So the only downside to Baya is scalability. And there's a lot of good programs throughout the United States that I could rattle off that are doing great jobs, but they don't have scalability. But we can change that. And that's STEM City USA. And that's something we can talk about on another one of your shows. But the metaverse gives us an opportunity to scale up in a way that we could never do simply in this physical world with the facilities that are available to us right now.
You wrote a book about the metaverse.
I did.
What was your goal? And have you accomplished it?
I don't think we'll ever accomplish a goal. I think that we'll keep putting it out, but I think I've got it started. I think a lot of people who were not thinking about the metaverse and understanding how transformational this new technology is, they're now talking about it. It's part of things like, people are talking AI, a whole bunch of different things. These are the things that I have brought up earlier, the direction. My goal was to ensure that our communities and other underserved communities understood the difference between bridging the digital divide challenge that we had and understanding why we could never truly bridge the digital divide, because much of that technology had already been created and all of the players were so huge that we could never play at that level. But now, with the whole change in technology taking place, AI, quantum computing, blockchain technology, we're entering for the first time in my lifetime an era where technology is going to be transformationally changed, and no one is in the majority. They don't have the majority. They don't have the lock hold on the technology. So when no one has that technology and all of the patents and everything else, that gives us an opportunity to get into the game at the beginning. We got into the game of what this era was, which is what I call the digital era. We were able to enter this era when most of the winners had already been picked. This
kind of like this the marijuana game.
Right.
In a majority black city, I don't know that there are any black dispensaries.
Well, I wouldn't know about that.
But it's this new disruptive innovation that's hit the scene, and we're once again on the periphery, not in the center of it.
That's right. That's right. And that's a political decision. I am assuming that game was locked. But under what we're doing now, with this whole movement with blockchain and these other pieces, no one can control it. The politicians can't even control it. which is why in many of these countries, as you know, the first thing they do is limit the internet access. Lock them down, because stop the ability of people to communicate and those other pieces. So bringing us back to Bea, that's what Bea does. Bea is an opportunity for those of us who are sitting in different places, Donnie, who are one of the few in that room. When we come to Bea, a professional is able to continue to build their professional convoy and their social convoy. They no longer feel alone. Many of these top execs are the only person, they look around the room, they're the only one in that room, right? So they can come to Bea and connect with someone from, another company in their same position and build a network. And you and I both know how critical a network is. I mean, we don't, if you need to call somebody, you look in your network, and most likely many of those people are folks like me. I mean, that have an interest in some of the things you do, right?
Well, this is where I have to tap into you. I can't let you slide away with minutes left and not mention your early days as a child on Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and how this relates to Bea 2024 here in Baltimore.
Wow, one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up. And last time I was on the show talking about it, Tulsa is a place I used to go to as a kid in Chicago. I grew up in Los Angeles, but I was born in Chicago my early years. And our whole family, many of them were from Oklahoma.
So that meant you had cowboy boots.
I had cowboy boots, as you know. I would go to Tulsa, and what I saw there was a thriving community. And I saw caring people and people who were connected and everything else. It's only later that I learned what happened there, as I became more and more of an adult. And as I think about it now, and I think about all of the love I received in the community, I said, wow, despite what these folks had gone through, for me, I was the little cowboy when I showed up. The whole town knew that I was there. And I think that that's what Bea gives our community. And that's why I talk to you about forgiveness, because I've seen so many people who've been so hurt. But I think my grandmother said this. She said, if you can't forgive others, you can never forgive yourself. And as I started off the show talking about how imperfect we all are, we all make major mistakes. It's all relative. But if you can, the only way to forgive yourself is to be able to forgive others. So back to Bea, people, process, the technology and the benefits of technology. That's our theme that comes out of this year. I also would like to, Donnie, if it's okay, invite people. I just heard the mayor canceled the Martin Luther King parade today.
Why?
That just came across.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I hope I'm right, but that just kind of came across my phone saying the parade was canceled for today. So
what?
I truly, maybe it's too cold outside.
It's always cold. It's the coldest day of the year.
Listen, I'm sure there's some smart people there.
Are you serious, man?
There's very smart people there, and I'm sure they had very good reasons. But
what?
Listen. Tomorrow night, come out to the Reggie Lewis Museum. Come out, bring the kids, come out to the Reggie Lewis Museum from 6 until 9 for the Welcome Back to Baltimore reception that was canceled last week because we're in a flood zone, and my office is right across the street from the Reggie Lewis Museum. So I'm telling you, we know it was with the number of people that was showing up, there was a safety issue, and it turned out to be correct, because we never cancel anything, but we did postpone. We didn't cancel it. So it's tomorrow night, Reggie Lewis Museum, free to the public. It's going to be entertainment. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be an opportunity for people to network with one another. And we're really excited about that. And you get a chance to look at the museum at the same time. I'm assuming that, we can move people through. So I think that'll be a good opportunity. So for those of you that have the opportunity and the way to get downtown, come on over. The RS, it may be tough, because we were at almost at maximum last week, but I'm assuming that some folks from last week won't be able to make it tomorrow. So just show up at the Reggie Lewis Museum tomorrow night.
Why do you love Baltimore? And what might Billy Murphy have to do with this?
Oh, Billy Murphy was the one responsible for bringing me to Baltimore. And in my early years in here, I shared Billy when Billy bought his building at I think it was 1001 Calvert Street. I had the top floor and Billy had the other 2 floors for his law firm. And he introduced me to so many people. I won't go into the whole story, but let me tell you, he brought me here. He was our corporate attorney for years, still is one of my great advisors. I represented Billy's family on the board of the Afro for years. And you probably know the history of how the Afro is divided up into blocks, like the Murphy family and the different families all own parts of that. So I represented that family on the board for years. Billy is just one of the greatest intellectuals, I think. Brilliant guy.
And then tell me about your love for media. Where did this love for media? I mean, in a day and time where publications are falling by the wayside, you're printing more publications.
The media is the art of communications. He who owns and is able to tell the story is one of the most important, almost as important as a doctor. What is a preacher? Nothing more than a communicator. In Africa, who told the stories? Who went around village and village and village telling the story? A person who is able to communicate is the person who preserves our culture and our history. And that is why the first thing that happens to oppress any people is to take their stories away and make it his story. Like history, his story. If you can replace a person's truth with your reality, you have just made that person into you. And what I've tried to do with Bea is to ensure that our story is fairly reflected, at least in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math. That our kids know you could actually be, they go to the movie and see Star Wars. The man who has the largest number of patents at Disney was the first engineer who received the most promising engineer at the first Bea when John Slaughter was Black Engineer of the Year. And fast forward, he runs Disney Imagineering. He owns all of those patents that you see in Star Wars and Disney places. Doni, I've come to so many people who've said to me that had they not attended Bea as a middle school student or as a high school student, they wouldn't even be where they are today. That's what they believe. Nick Mosley, here's another story. The president of the Baltimore City Council used to come to Bea as a college student.
I was there when he brought that up.
You were there, that's right. So
I want you to tell me about Lloyd Austin. How is he doing? He was sickly. He was down for a week. The president didn't know he was down, but you knew he was down. You knew the president.
I knew he was down when everybody else found out, when the first article broke, okay? I will tell you, let me say this about Lloyd Austin. The most decorated general since the Second World War. The most combat general. He's a combat general. He's not, and there's a difference. Those who are in the field fighting the war all the time, That's what he does. He's not a guy. There's a lot of generals and things like that.
You know, the media tried to make a big brouhaha about it, but he was probably as strong, if not stronger, from his hospital bed as if he were in the country of choice of the country in question. Because no one knew the wiser, and he's
we still don't know the whole story, but I do know the man. And I will tell you, he's the most he loves this country. He's proven himself. And what I was happy to see is that even though the media, we were hearing in the media things about how bad this was. Did you notice that a lot of those generals said, yeah, but what a great American he was. And he is.
Yes, no doubt.
And I heard,
and a black man.
That's right. I don't want to get into that piece either, given everything that's going on. The guy, I was with him at the Pentagon right before he left Israel. So this is obviously before before his illness. He looked great to me. He looked great to me. So I didn't sense anything that was wrong with him. I was so honored that I was at the Pentagon in his office with the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. And we spent over a half hour talking about Bea and why Bea is so important and why they support making this an opportunity for everyone. That was our discussion. That's where his mindset was. And then 2 days later, he went over to Israel, right? And so I didn't, again, he looked absolutely right. This is what shocked me, is that here 2 days before he left Israel, when he's fighting wars across the globe, he had time to make in his schedule, and the chairman had time to make in his schedule to sit down with me for half an hour. That's the humbleness, right?
The humility, no doubt.
That's why you have to humble yourself.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I just pray that he recovers quickly. And I also would just ask the listening audience, be very careful. Before Dr. King was assassinated, not died. Let's be real. Don't forget what the media did. He wasn't high in the ratings, in the polls.
And he wasn't, there were preachers, there were churches who did not support him.
The media was a large part of the attacks on Dr. King, and it creates these environments because words are powerful. And it creates these environments in which people who may be unstable, people who may be on the fringe, that they think it's okay to do things. And that's what I think has happened in our nation over the past number of years, that we've created this environment where little boys can be so sexist and things are being normalized again. Not that they ever disappeared, but now they're being so normalized that it is really creating anxiety. It's creating mental issues for everybody else. Because stop and think about this, Donnie. It's not everybody that's doing crazy stuff. It's always a minority that can create trauma for the majority. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Answer this for me, and I can't. How many years has it been since Bea was in Baltimore? Is it 13 years? That's where I'm at.
I think we went into rotation around the 19th year. I think I've kind of put those numbers out because when we went in rotation, we moved from Baltimore to Washington, D.C., and then we kept rotating between Philadelphia and Washington. And a conference the size of Bea, we actually left Bea when Stephanie, I think when Stephanie took over. That was the last year.
That was like 08.
I believe so. That's around the time we left Baltimore.
So at least 15 years.
At least 15 years. So this is a big deal. And I want to tell you, it takes a lot to line up a conference the size of Baya to come
Yes,
back. It takes years.
but you never cried victim. But I will cry victim for you.
No, don't do.
How can a majority black city not support a black man bringing a mega conference featuring STEM to Baltimore? Who does that? What's wrong with this city?
There's nothing wrong with the city. And if I knew what I knew now, I could have handled it a little bit differently. But I will tell you, it was good for us to go into rotation, because when we went into rotation, what we found, or what other cities were willing to do, and for the conference, and how they were willing to support us.
You get more love when you go away. A prophet is not welcome in his own town. That's what the books say.
Well, we if people show up tomorrow, you'll definitely show us some Bay of love, right? I know, and since I've been back, I talked to Sheila Dixon. She should be there tomorrow night. I've talked to tons of folks, and the love is there. People are so excited. And
I got me a suit, and I'm going to wear my suit, and I'm going to be sharp as a tack for you, Dr. T.
Hey, Donnie, I also think that, and I do want to say this about Mayor Pugh. She put a lot of good things in place as well when she was in office. I do think there were two good. I will say this about Sheila Dixon. She was actually a good mayor. If people can have their difference, but when you talk about what the core issues, getting the trash,
question.
She was a good mayor. Kathy Pugh, Kathy Pugh as a state senator was one of the leaders in actually getting legislation passed. She wrote so much legislation. A lot of people sit there, they don't know how to write a bill, okay?
She did.
So Catherine Pugh was a good mayor. And she put some key people between Sheila and Kathy. Start looking at some of the people they put in office, right? So Catherine put a lot of the right people at the convention center. You got Al Hutchinson over there now. And so that made it possible for us to come back to Baltimore.
One of my favorite events.
Funny, just to say, the people who were in charge back then, who ran this stuff, didn't necessarily look like us either.
Yeah. So one of my favorite events with you was coming to your house, and you got Wes Moore, soon to be governor.
Right.
But you also had generals there. You had media personalities there. You had educators there. You had political leaders there. That was the most beautiful day ever. Was that just beautiful? And more than that, his mom showed up.
That's right. Then that's something. When your mama shows up, you know it's right then. And the reason it was so mixed, because we all have jobs to do, and that's what communicators do. We bring everybody together under a common message. We know people look at things differently.
Shirley Nathan was there.
That's
your
right.
Girl, Wagwan.
Larry Young. All kinds of people were there.
Kwaisi
was there. That's right. He's a great, and he's a communicator. When you stop and you look at people, what did Frederick Douglass do? He eventually, if I'm correct, created a newspaper.
Yes, he did, the North Star.
That's right. So
might have been the second black newspaper after Freedom's Journal in Rochester, New York, and then he brought it down to New York City. Frederick Douglass.
So let me tell you where people can go to learn more about Baya, because tomorrow's welcome back to Baltimore, but the conference is the 15th to the 17th. And it's going to be a great opportunity. So if you want to learn more about the conference, go to beya.org. And this thing is open. We have pre-college programs. We have a job.
We didn't even talk about the college fair.
Oh, yeah. The college fair is amazing. So just go to the website, take a look at some of the activities, and encourage folks to take a look and see what we're doing. And throughout the year, We have a whole bunch of things going on in the metaverse. So it's not a one-shot deal, but there's an opportunity. There's also an opportunity, Doni. We have the digital twin. So if you can't make it to the conference, you can actually go online and participate in the career fair and other activities online. And that was set up during the pandemic, right? Because when the pandemic hit, it wasn't as if the conference stopped. We built out this metaverse where people could attend. So the recruiters will be online. A lot of the seminars will be online that you can participate.
Okay, so let's go through just a list of some of the assets that you have. You got Career Communications Group. That's the mothership.
Right.
ccg.mag.
Then we have beneath of that are the magazines. Hispanic Engineer, Black Engineer, Women of Color. And at one point we also had, I need to say this, we also had Urban Profile, which Keith Clinkscale ran when he was working for me. And we had Minorities in Research Science. So we've had other magazines that we started that, went out. But the 3 active magazines are the ones I've just laid out. Each of those magazines have their own websites. So you can go to blackengineer.com every morning. It's updated every day. Great articles there. HispanicEngineer.com and Women of Color online. So then next are the conferences. We have 2 major conferences that are physical. The Black Engineer of the Year, or BEA, Becoming Everything You Are, and the Women of Color Global Competitive Conference. Then beneath that, or the newest, I'm putting them in order of age. The next would be STEM City USA, Metaverse, the Black Engineer Metaverse, and the Women of Color Metaverse. I know I'm leaving some things out.
Your book, that's an asset.
Then my book is, then we do some limited book publishing, but then my book comes out of that. So those are kind of the things that we do. And we think that
why do you do
all of it is tied together, Doni, by telling the story.
Why do you do this?
Because I want us to become everything we are as a community. I know the challenges that we face. And when I say the challenges, I'm talking about everybody on this planet. We've got challenges. If we stop fighting with one another, we've got real challenges, like getting off this rock before another comet hits us and takes us all out. We have challenges. You
foresee living on another planet?
Oh, absolutely.
What?
I see. Well, we got to get off of it. Hey, Doni, if you stay on this rock long enough, this rock called Earth long enough, something's going to hit us again. We have challenges in the short term, issues with nature, global warming, all of these things that have to happen that as a species, if we want to survive, we need all hands on deck. So what drives me here is to make sure that everybody who wants to participate has a role to participate in helping to raise, to get us to a better point so that we can use more of our brain power to think about how do we survive as a human race.
So you want to be the first intergalactic publisher?
Hey, I like that. Thank you. Can I take credit for that one day?
You can have it, boss. You want to be the first person to publish not only on Earth but another planet. Wow.
That's right. We're gonna do some great stuff. Hey, listen, if you can't do it until you at least dream it.
I never dreamt about it.
And that's what BEA is all about. BEA, by the way, going back to BEA, you know what BEA has done? It has put in our BEA song. I wish we had sent you that song so you could kind of play it. It starts off, the first sentence in the BEA song. It's a moment in your eyes where the future becomes clear. You can get it at BEA. Become everything you are. You can get it at BEA. Okay. So anyway, it's too early in the morning. And I didn't want to.
Not bad, Dr. T.
But it's the moment in your eyes when the future becomes clear. When we are able to put visions of people in front of our young people, it clicks. But if they never see it, the future never becomes clear.
Dr. Tyrone Taborn, we appreciate you so much. And we will see you tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the Reginald F. Lewis for the Welcome Bayer Back to Baltimore reception. And special thanks to LaRon Finney and all of the other people who have assisted in this effort, Marsha Jews and countless others.
Thank you.
Man said, keep your day job.
Somebody said, keep my day job.
Love and respect. Thank you, Dr. Taborn. Up today, down tomorrow, do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, world.